Hello and welcome to the SKTLs Space Crypto Call. That's Sanatsi, the man. Used to be a chief scientist at one of the largest telecom companies on the planet. I always like to say that because it just sounds amazing. Are you drinking scotch? Moonshine.
No.
Moonshine.
No, it's
That
just
totally
water.
looked like moonshine.
It's just tonic water. It's just water.
In a bottle like that? Nobody believes you, Sanatsi.
it's
That's
not-
moonshine drinking. That's a
It's not a bottle.
jar. It's a jar. It looks like a jar.
It is a jar. I just like the shape of it. That's why.
All right. Well, next time share the moonshine at least. I mean, you ever had moonshine?
Tonic water.
You ever had moonshine, Sanatsi?
Yes.
Where?
North Georgia mountains.
It's a good place. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the movies. I've never even seen moonshine. Like I've only seen cocaine like twice in my entire life. Anyway, I'm Cody Willard. That's Bryce Smith. We're here for the Space Crypto Call, not to talk about moonshine and drugs. We're not. That's not us at all, frankly. So let's talk some space first. Starship blew up again, caused major disruptions for the airlines. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that it had major disruptions.
Yeah.
In airlines. Who?
All that debris flying over like Puerto Rico's path to Florida, and
I didn't see.
all the airlines had to reroute in real time. But it turns out the FAA guys competent enough to pull it off.
Yeah, it was on TV. Definitely, you could see it. You could see the pieces actually.
Yeah, I saw
falling
that.
down.
I didn't hear anything about airlines having to be.
I actually saw it was on Twitter. I saw a video that showed it was like from an FAA panel or something, and it showed the routes of all the airplanes, and they were like just zooming back normal and stuff, and then all of a sudden they start. There's this one line between Florida and Puerto Rico. I don't know exactly what the countries were, but off into the East Coast, off of Florida, all of a sudden you could see all the airline traffic just rerouting, going around so that the debris don't fall on your plane. Yeah,
surprising.
But anyway, it was they had to do it last time too. The last time it blew up like that. What do they call it? Rapid disassembly, unplanned rapid disassembly.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
It's such a great phrase. Is that a NASA phrase or a SpaceX phrase? I think it's a NASA phrase.
That I don't know.
I don't know.
I wish Dan Gerasi would hear. He would have answered. He would know off the top of his head. He is at a space satellite conference. He won't be here this week, but this month. But I think 1 month from the second Wednesday of every month when we do these calls, Dan will be back, and we will have some full space knowledge on board with us.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah. But at any rate, it does suck. Like I think they did land the booster and caught it with the chopsticks again, which is always amazing. But like we're going to need the Starship to get to space successfully and deploy some orbital bananas. Didn't they try to send up a banana
last time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need some bananas sent into orbit by the Starship at some point, or we're actually starting to get to a point where if we don't get the Starship where it needs to be over the next 2 years, we're going to miss the window to go to Mars. Because it go, it's an ellipse, and so there are times when it's closer than other times. And I think the next window starts in like 2 years and ends in 3.5 years or something. But so we need to get it going. But
they've already flown the main Starship and like brought it back to the ocean several times.
Right, but didn't get stuff to orbit successfully, right? They just got close to orbit.
No, they've been in orbit. They just don't deploy anything.
Oh.
Well,
why is it blowing up again?
They changed it. They did new heat shields on it, and they're trying to. Their whole key is that they want to get new reusable heat shields on it, so that way you don't have to change the heat shields out every time.
Yeah. But I don't think that was heat shields that blew up. It was.
But I'm just saying they're changing the design of it.
Yeah, that's right. And I also saw an incredible. I think it's a tweet from Elon, frankly, and it was an image of the first Raptor, and then the second, and then the one that they're using now, and the number of components. You could just you can see in that picture the imagery. It was like hundreds of thousands of pipes and components and rods and screws and stuff, and then thousands, and now hundreds. And it's incredible.
Yeah.
Key to being able to replicate it, obviously, is partly simplicity. You would need the stuff to be as simple as possible.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Intuitive Machines, the second time in a row.
That's right. Second time in a row, Intuitive Machines lunar lander toppled over. I got a quick side note. Bryce mentioned that he gets these ads from Temu, depending on what video you're watching, that shows a excavator, a mini excavator, and it's so tall and so skinny that it's top heavy. And like, we actually saw a guy who bought it because we were like, I wonder if anybody's actually bought it. So then we actually went down the rabbit hole, and the guy like toppled over and hit his head on the window and everything. And you know, looking at what is Lunar Lander doing that we can't? You might want to make a wider base. I mean, I am a little flabbergasted that we can't. That twice now we've toppled, and so that's a problem for Intuitive Machines. Maybe it doesn't matter. Bryce and I have been debating whether NASA is going to be like, you know what, let's go find someone else for the next time because these guys can't pull it off.
Yeah.
Or more likely, they're probably just like, yeah, let's try again, and Lunar will get another shot. We'll see.
Yeah, they have like 2 more missions contracted with NASA. That doesn't mean they can't pull the contracts.
They could, but
so
yeah.
I don't know. It really looked bad because Firefly landed a thing on the moon successfully for NASA
just like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think it was
the same flight,
the same week before or something like that. Yeah.
It took a more direct route than Lunar's did, and so it was already down, and it pulled it off. It landed.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the other problem that sucks about the Intuitive Machines, are stock symbols, Lunar, LUNR. So that's why I call it Lunar for short sometimes. But the other problem it's just so disappointing because what they were planning to do was drill and to try to find water, ice in the crust of the moon. And now we don't get to do that.
Yeah.
That would have been really exciting. Be like, there's life. I mean, there's water. And then who knows? There could be bacterial life in that water.
Sure.
From thousands of years ago or something. I don't know.
It's possible.
Everybody that payloads on there, I'm sure, is disappointing because last time they even got like some of the payloads out and did some more testing and data collection and stuff. And this time the machine was so misoriented, I don't think they were able to get much data at all.
Yeah, the solar panels, for one thing, were not facing the sun.
Right.
And so you had very limited battery life to use. So disappointing. But as Elon tweeted after the most recent Starship blew up, unplanned rapid disassembled, he look at that moonshine. He said space is hard. Rockets are hard, I think is what he tweeted specifically. Yeah. But space is famously hard and always will be. But look, one of the things I've been writing about right now is that the AI and robotics revolution are going to help enable the space revolution go to the next level. Not necessarily with the rockets and getting to space and orbit, but also not necessarily. I mean, AI, machine learning could probably help. I would imagine SpaceX is already using some AI and machine learning to help design the rockets and things.
Probably, yeah.
Right? I mean, wouldn't you imagine that with Elon running the show and machine learning and AI being such a big part of his life as it is?
Probably.
American Badass joining Sanatsi, what do you think, though? Wouldn't you imagine?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
So if that, at any rate, AI will enable that, but more to the point, like AI will enable robotics to go to work, and then those robots will be going to Mars and building and mining and otherwise preparing resources for human beings to go use someday on Mars, likewise on other moons and other planets, and human beings around the solar system will be engaging with robots on moons. Yeah, that's true. It's going to happen. Maybe not in the next 3 to 5 years, but in the next 10 to 15 to 20, 10 to 20, I'll go 10 to 20. Yeah. So Nazi, you're on mute.
10 to 20 is more likely, I guess.
Yeah.
I tend to be a little bit pessimistic, in general about such advances.
It's interesting. The AI revolution is already hitting, right? And it's actually accelerating because they're figuring out ways like DeepSeek to make the AI more efficient, more effective, and better and cheaper, certainly on a cost per unit of energy basis. But it's also, there's the amount of impact it will have is very near term. Over the next year, 3 years, we will have agents doing incredible stuff on our phones, on our computers. Coders will be using AI even more than they already are. It's happening. Robotics is, over the next year to two, we'll get some crappy fake humanoid robots from China and stuff that sucks from the US, and people will be like, oh, I told you robots aren't going to work. I mean, that's so stupid. Why would anybody have one of those? Well, yeah. And then in 2 years, a year and a half, Optimus robots, we'll be seeing videos of them working in the factories at Tesla. And then in 2 or 3 years, we'll be buying them for households and businesses. And then it will accelerate the improvement, rate of improvement, what those robots can do, the cost of the robots, the utility of them, the applications that people and services that people will come up to use with them will accelerate. And then space follows along 10 years from now, not the next 1 to 3 or 3 to 5.
How many years before robots truly begin to displace workers then? And Elon has been quoted as saying, and this was a couple years ago, that at some point a universal basic income will be necessary because you're going to have millions of people out of work because robots are going to take their jobs.
Bryce, will you take the other side of that argument?
Are people are going to need to just switch what they're doing. I think there's going to always be jobs, but I don't know. I'm just conversation starter.
Yes.
Someone smarter than me needs to answer the question.
Bryce and I have some thoughts on this that might have come up already just about an hour ago and yesterday and the day before. Please, Bryce.
No, I think we've been working on a bunch, Joe, and I don't think the robots are there'll be some job displacement. I think it's going to be a net positive for labor markets. And I think there's going to be more jobs. There's going to be more productivity. I think robots actually will end up augmenting and supplementing human labor more than replacing it. And I think the kind of dystopian vision about, that everybody just sitting around like playing Xbox, getting their UBI check.
Right.
I don't think that's the way it's going to work out. It's never happened like that with technology before. And I think that the whole point of the robots is they're going to lower the cost curve for all labor, right? And anytime you do that in an industry, the amount of what you're producing goes up a lot. And I think that's
the profits go
up, and because there's more profits, you can do more things, like whether you're building software or whether you're farming. If the cost to do so gets cut in half, you do more of it. And so the jobs that people do, you may not be picking the chili, maybe the robots do that, but you're still going to have a lot of people working on farms doing other things alongside robots, So that's what I think we're going to end up seeing.
Okay, one of the things that got Bryce and I going on that thought process today, where he was talking about the idea that every police officer could have an Optimus robot partner. And then when they pull someone over, the Optimus robot goes up and asks for driver's license, materials, and the police officer sits in his car looking at his big Tesla screen, because it'll be a Cybertruck, of course, because that's the safest for the police. And they'll be like, hey, that guy's got his daughter in the front car. Yeah, let's just give him a ticket and get out of here. Or be like, hey, that looks unsafe. We better go in there and call for backup. And then another police officer and several other Optimus robots will show up. And so instead of displacing that police officer, it makes his job more efficient and safer.
Yeah.
Agree with that. I'm just wondering about overall factory jobs, manufacturing jobs. A lot of those jobs will be taken. So I feel like on some level, everybody is going to need to get a little more technologically savvy, a little smarter. Our education levels are going to need to go up because you're not necessarily going to have to do as many of those manual labor jobs. So we need a little bit of shift in thinking.
I'm going to push back on this too.
Essentially.
Yeah, I'm pushing back on this same thing, right? Bryce and I literally were just talking about this not 30 minutes ago. The idea, great. I'm glad you introduced the topic, and because it is very germane to not only space, but crypto and the world and economies and prosperity in general. The idea that factories, like we've already completely decimated the United States manufacturing and factory.
That's true.
economy.
Yeah, you're right.
It doesn't even really exist right now. Like
it's like 10% of GDP.
Yeah, like if it goes away, whatever, it doesn't even really matter. But I actually don't think it goes away. We will now truly see this acceleration of the onshoring revolution, where people are, companies are like, yeah, let's bring. During COVID, it became clear to them that they needed some redundancy in their supply chain. They needed to figure out a better way to make sure they can get their hands on the underwear that they sell and the gadgets that they sell and that they manufacture and the components that go into it. And so we had this idea that manufacturing would come back to the United States. And of course, tariffs also can influence that at least a little bit. I don't think it actually helps very much on that regard. But what does help in that regard is if you've got robots running your factory, your cost of labor is even cheaper than China's. 5 years of a factory employee at the most horrible sweatshop in China still costs more than one Optimus robot will in 5 years. And so the cost, like manufacturing can indeed and will indeed come back to the United States in waves because we'll have robots doing it. And those few people that actually work in factories and manufacturing today, they'll be all right. They'll probably need to monitor the 20 robots that are doing 300 people's worth of work.
Well, that's my point, though. What are the jobs?
But the 300 people, like China's going to lose the jobs, not the U.S. The guys working in the factories in China no longer are needed. And the few guys in the U.S. who actually work at factories, they're going to be monitoring and taking care of 20 robots each. Those robots will be doing the work of 300 Chinese factory workers.
Yeah, highly likely.
Yeah, we're taking the other side of we're writing the ultimate AI book. And the whole reason that I came up with the idea was that we needed to think this through in a realistic, but probably optimistic way. Things usually do work out for the United States and our economy. Things usually do get better with technology. The world gets safer and more productive and more prosperous.
Yeah. No, I do think though that like most of the prevailing view, I think by a big margin, is that like robots and AI just destroy all jobs and there's nothing left for people to do, and it's just like this dystopian future. And I don't think that's where it's gonna go.
Well, here's another example. Okay, attorneys, lawyers. My wife, case in point, right? Like there's only so many hours in the day and only so much that she can actually do on a daily basis. That was before ChatGPT and other AIs enabled her to do 10 times more in a day. And she's not to the point yet where she's doing 10 times more in a day than she did. But there are examples where she'll be like, yeah, that would have taken me 3 hours and it took me 3 minutes. And that's changing things slowly but surely, even in law. But what will happen is my wife will be able to do things for poor people. Right now, if you want to go to court, $10,000, probably the minimum amount that you need to be worried about if you're going to be able to pay an attorney and get to a court.
More than that.
50,000.
Yeah, probably at least that.
It takes nobody can go to get any lawyer to do anything for anything less than $50,000. But if every attorney that's using AI can do 10 times more than they could last year, some of them will be like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll help you collect the 10,000. I'll help you collect your $500 from your neighbor who stole from you.
Because the cost of the attorney basically nothing.
The cost of the attorney almost nothing.
Right.
And so the world gets better.
Yeah.
Like it's not like the attorneys lose their jobs, just they're able to help more people. I love that example. We got to use that in the book.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't think about that until last night. We were talking about
Right.
the bar and licensing and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah.
But it does licensing. The United States has spent 150 years with the law that lawyers have to be licensed. And if you're a libertarian, which I'm not necessarily, but if you're a libertarian, you're like, why do we have a licensing law? Like, can't anybody who wants to be an attorney be an attorney? And if they suck, well, that sucks for the person that hired them, but it's free market. And what has happened over 150 years is it's gotten to the point where there's not enough attorneys to take on those $10,000 cases. There's not enough attorneys to take on a $5,000 case because it's not economically efficient for them since they've got no competition other than other attorneys with licenses.
Mm-hmm.
And if you make it so that all the attorneys that exist are now 10 times more productive, there you go. It's like fact and point. Like, hey, yes, they will be able to make money helping someone recover $5,000 instead of $50,000.
Can I say something, perhaps changing the subject a little bit, and I'm going to try to be mindful of our time. So I'll go back to software, and supposedly, AI basically writing, all the code for us. So there are pockets of basically software world/development that I don't think AI is going to be able to help at all. And those are, I can't say if they are like small pockets, but I'll give an example. What is called workflow. Take an example of a workflow is, let's take the telecom world. Is basically from the time that a customer gives his or her order, and by the time that the service is turned on, all of the set of activities that goes on internally inside the company is called workflow.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, you've never seen that code on any GitHub or any open source, basically, repository. And I doubt you'll ever see that code.
The code that turns on?
The code that actually makes all of this happen, from order giving or order taking, and then setting up all the circuitry, virtual circuits, what have you, all the way to the time that actually someone comes. Take the home example. Someone comes to your home, brings a modem or a residential gateway and installs it, and then does the rest of his work. But all of that basically is part of what is called workflow.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why you're not going to see, that code, and so far you've never seen it on any GitHub or any other open source website for code.
Mm-hmm.
It is simply because then you would be giving away the real business logic, and also giving away basically the internals of
the engineers at the telecom company itself can simply start using AI to improve that code. They don't have to put it on GitLab. They don't have to put it on GitHub. They can simply start doing it internally.
That they can do. Certainly they can get help.
And then they send an Optimus robot to put the modem in.
They might be able to do that as well, but the actual software is still dependent on that residential gateway being hooked on, because in the
But
workflow
I push
internally,
back
what happens
place
is,
here, Sanatzi.
sorry,
Nobody has home telephone anymore. That is
I
a
do.
secular. I know, but it is a secularly declining industry.
Oh,
and will be
absolutely.
forever.
But you don't.
So
Well,
Nazi-
residential gateways is
You have a
for
proprietary code base that's not going to be part of any training data set, right?
Right.
And the way it's working and what's happening now, I think, is like companies like GitLab and GitHub with Microsoft, like they're trying to build these platforms so that the AI has full knowledge of your code base and all the context, right? And so if you take a language model that it knows how to code generically, give it your the full context of your proprietary code base, then it can still code for you, even though it wasn't trained on that data at the outset. That's basically like what the GitLab model is. That's one of the reasons we like GitLab.
correct. But the main basically business logic is really it consists of two sets of components, if you will, new stuff and also legacy stuff. And all the legacy stuff basically gets integrated, and that's the integration work. So, and there are multiple ways to do this, clearly, but my point is still the actual code. You might during development you might get help, but you'll never see all the code on any GitHub repository, because all this right now, Copilot and other code helpers, they're utilizing basically what's available as open source.
But again, Sanatzi, it's not like the guys who run that code inside the telecom company can't go on to a code generating website and be like, hey, I need you to look into this code and help me change this one routing situation so that it's more productive. And it'll write the code.
Perhaps, yeah. My point is that code is still proprietary stuff dependent. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
I agree with you on that, but I still think AI will be used inside that code.
Inside that code can be used, sure. Yeah.
Good stuff. I don't know how we ended up going AI call. We were supposed to do space call.
I don't know.
Space.
Sorry.
What other space news? We got Rocket
sorry.
Lab had a short report come out on it a couple of weeks ago saying that they have way overpromised on their doing the neutron dance rocket. There was a Pointer Sisters reference. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. But the neutron rocket that is going to be not even as big as Falcon, but at least going that direction, bigger than their Electron, their current rocket. And the short report said there's no way they're going to have it this year, which is what they promised, and they probably won't even have it next year. And stock, the stock's still up a bunch from its lows, but it's been cut in half in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm not even sure the short report was part of that all space theme and crypto theme and AI themed stocks that are not legit businesses, small caps for sure, they've just all been cut by 50 to 75%.
And they did a secondary yesterday.
Rocket Lab did?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that.
500 million.
Oh, that's good for them. They needed. I wish they'd done that a month ago when the stock was at 30. But at least they need the money.
Right.
They need that money. And then the other thing we can report on is relativity space has been taken over by Eric Schmidt, formerly of Google, and he has effectively diluted all of us existing shareholders down to zero in the process. But it looks as though the company was probably about to declare failure, rapid, unscheduled disassembly. But Eric Schmidt came in and said, look, I'll give you $500 million for basically everything. And I want almost all the equity. And so we're getting washed. But
that was all over a month ago or so. Yesterday, I read something about
A
that.
month ago,
a
Eric
few weeks
Schmidt
ago.
was rumored to be investing in
Oh, okay.
relativity, but it has now come out. The details of it are, yes, he is investing in relativity. It is true, but the terms at which he is investing in that sucks for me and Bryce. Yeah, you're on mute,
Joe.
Joe. You're muted. You did it to yourself. I didn't do it.
Sorry. Sorry. We supposedly have astronauts coming home by Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't actually,
Good
guess I
point.
didn't see that. Woohoo!
Yeah.
They've been up there a long ass time.
9 months, 8 months,
They're supposed to be like 4 days.
10 days.
Jeez. Guess they had enough food, huh?
Yeah. Actually, no, they had to bring supplies up at one point. Yeah. But they had access to enough food at least.
Right.
Yeah. And toilet paper.
Yeah.
Do they use toilet paper on the International Space Station, or do they just rinse it or something? I don't know.
Neither do I. Yeah.
I would ask that question to an astronaut.
I've been curious about
That one time Elon didn't show up, but he was supposed to be. I went to an event in San Francisco with Bob Weir, and who's the Kelly astronaut guy that's been in a fight with Elon the last 3 weeks? Mark
Kelly.
He and Elon and Bob Weir, and I mean, I was just sort of tagging along with Bob, but those three were like the headliners at the event. And I was going to hang out with Mark Kelly and Elon, and they all loved each other. And now, oh boy, did you see Elon yelling at Mark?
No.
He was a dick.
Right.
Imagine that. I wish Elon would he can talk trash, but just don't be a jerk. He's such a jerk to people sometimes. Like the Polish guy, the diplomat or politician or whoever in Poland who was like, we'll use something else for Starlink because Elon can't be relied upon. And Elon was like, sit down, little man. Like, what? Can you just not have a little respect for people, man?
So I'm reading the Walter Isaacson Elon book right now, and they'll throw all of that out the window by just saying that because of Elon's condition, he has zero empathy for anyone. So when he's doing that, it's just he just doesn't really understand that it's going to hurt your feelings. So
what is his condition? What is his condition?
Well, he's slightly on the spectrum, right? I mean,
I know plenty of people on the spectrum who still have empathy and aren't jerks.
Yeah, but
so I don't buy it. Like he can just be nice. Trump's the same way. Trump's a jerk. He's less jerky this go round than he was the last go round, but he's still a jerk to people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I wouldn't talk to anybody like that. My kids, my parents, my worst enemy.
The more I'm around
Coach Dillard from Blinn College, I would still be nice, still be respectful as a human being.
A lot of super successful people though are jerks and bullies. That's how they get where they are, except that you piss off a lot of people along the way. And when it comes down to it in the long run, it's generally not worth it.
Ironically, Coach Dillard, not successful, still a jerk. All right. Crypto crash. I hate to tell you, I hate to say it, but if you've ever tuned into this if you've tuned into SKTL Space Crypto Call in the last 3 to 6 months, every single time we warned you we were entering a new crypto winter. It was imminent. And on December 4th, we literally pounded the table on Trading with Cody in a post we sent out saying, this is us pounding the table, warning you that crypto is doomed. All non-Bitcoin crypto is doomed, and even SKTL Space Crypto has been hurt. It's not a meme stock. It's actually, along with Bitcoin, one of 2 cryptocurrencies on the entire planet that are definitely not securities and did not raise $1 and had no value transferred at all when we rolled it out. Still, all crypto has been demolished. the thing about crypto is, I think we said this in the last call, but if we didn't, let's just repeat it. Bryce said it to me a month ago. He says, Cody, every day, at least every week, we're blown away by some new development in AI. And the only thing we ever see in crypto is
Fraud, scams.
headlines about frauds and scams, shitty meme coins,
Yeah.
pumps and dumps. Like there's literally, we were promised innovation and applications and services built upon the blockchain. And to this day, what are those innovations, services, and applications that actually do anything besides create shitty meme coins and other tokens like SKTLs? What is it, Bryce? What's the only other thing? Bitcoin, I guess. I don't know. Like Bitcoin. That's it. The only thing that's ever worked is Bitcoin. It's the only thing that actually has any value out there in the crypto world. The meme coins are going to zero, going to 0.001 cents per share. They're at $10. They're going to 1 cent. They're at 10 cents. They're going to a thousandth of a penny. It's all going. This is just the beginning. Ethereum still going. It's down 70% from its high. It's going down another 70% from its high. Unless we get some sort of application that actually provides some efficiency or some sort of service that actually does something of value for the world. Because as it is now, the only thing that non-Bitcoin crypto does is allow people to transfer wealth, and usually in a fraudulent, shitty way.
May I say something? Not crypto, but blockchain related?
If it's, yes, sure.
So the blockchain types, if you will, there are two types, permissioned and permissionless. Permissionless is what we've been talking about, like Bitcoin or SKTL or other stuff that you see. But the permissioned one is, I guess a classic example of it is the bluefin tuna. So Japanese pay a lot of money for sushi made.
I pay a lot of money for bluefin
tuna.
Yes.
So it's like, 150 pounds of bluefin tuna goes like $1.25 million.
I literally just did that trade the other day. Just kidding.
So I figured you. But the point is, so what is called provenance? I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah.
So the scenario is you at the sushi restaurant that serves sushi, with made with bluefin tuna, is going to bring you an iPad, and then we'll show you basically all of the places from the time that the bluefin tuna is caught all the way to the restaurant. Let's say 6, 7, places that the bluefin tuna changed hands. You're going to be able to see where it's been caught, what it's been.
Right. So Nazi, that's been the promise of blockchain for 10 years.
Correct.
And IBM partnered with Home Depot, or IBM partnered with who?
Walmart
to do that very thing. And do you know how that partnership's going right now?
I don't know.
Not. It's dissolved. How about the partnership between Amazon and Amazon and Home Depot? Nothing. Didn't work. Like we're over here creating AI that can buy your wife flowers off of a single prompt, changing the world, creating code that can do new software applications. And AI is like, hey, we'll track a bluefish tuna, maybe. Like, that's my point, Sanatsi. That's not providing any value or service. It hasn't worked. It's been too economically inefficient to actually make an impact. And we're 15 years into the crypto revolution.
Well, what is perhaps a problem, if you will, with all of these places that bluefin tuna goes through is that you have to look at the entire architecture as if you're looking at, let's say, in a 7-story business building, where each of the stories has their own security. Like, look, I'm talking about land, and each one has different security requirements. So the idea behind the permission stuff is basically similar to that. You're partitioning the entire basically land into subnets, and so point is it's more complicated than just the regular blockchain.
But
there's
my
a reason
point is
behind it,
that-
but the business
but my-
case apparently is not proving to be.
But even
guess.
even that version of blockchain is not proving to be economically viable. It is not providing an economically viable service to the world, and so nobody is using it.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think it took off.
So we're back to meme coins being the only application that has caught any traction, and meme coins have zero economic value even in their premise. So, you know what? Screw non-Bitcoin crypto.
I
Let
remember
it go.
seeing Paris Hilton on Jimmy Fallon show, 4 years ago or so, and she was telling Jimmy Fallon, "Aren't you glad that I got you into NFTs? Like you spent $200,000, and it's probably worth more now," as she was saying, and like very proudly.
Yeah, and now it's worth $1.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly.
yeah, I mean, meme coins are the new NFTs. I mean, they were, now they're the old NFTs too. Like, and so what? The next application that it's invented on blockchain is another grift. I mean, I'm done with it. Wake me up if there's ever something actually economically viable and productive for the world happening. Besides, but even Bitcoin is, I mean, it's simply a store of value, and it's not quite a Ponzi scheme, but all currencies are somewhat Ponzi schemes. There's no inherent generation of value with any currency. The only thing that they are is, a store of value for people. So even Bitcoin is questionable in its value to the world, but it has proven itself to be a store of value. So I own it. I'll own it forever. Last questions or comments. This was a long one.
Yeah, it was a long one. Just in case I have not seen this one, I'm on a different tab now. So this is a newsletter from Deep Learning AI, and there is compact reasoning by Alibaba. Alibaba introduced QWQ-32B, and it says large language model that rivals the reasoning prowess of DeepSeek R1 despite its relatively modest size. If there is any interest, I can send you the link.
Yeah, sure. Send it over, please, Sanatsi.
Okay.
I saw that news earlier today, but if it's a different thing, I'll read it too.
All right. Let me.
American Badass, last questions or comments?
I got nothing.
Famous last words.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything famous.
So I pasted the link, which is a link to the deep learning.ai, the latest issue. It's a long one, but it's there.
Cool. So I'll leave you guys with my last word, and then Bryce can leave you with the final last word. And that is simply, I love the scene in The Godfather when I guess it's Godfather 2, when Al Pacino tells the senator, "My offer to you is this: nothing. In fact, I think it would be good for you to pay my Nevada license fee." I don't know why. I don't know. My wife was talking to someone who needed to do something yesterday, and they were being nice to their neighbor. They're like, "Yeah, we give you $10,000 for that," and the neighbor's like, "I want $45,000." And so now they're going to, this is how we got on the topic about whether or not it's worth an attorney's time. And anyway, I told her that she should tell her client that, go back to them and be like, my offer is this, nothing. In fact, I think it would be nice if you would pay my fee to my attorney for this advice. That's totally pointless and irrelevant to space, but it's been in my head all day. I love the scene. Bryce.
I don't know. I think there's going to be more exciting stuff happen in space this year, and I think it's going to be the year of Starship. I think we will see successful Starship flights after Cody's doubted it. So he's like, I don't know if we'll ever get there. I just want to be clear.
No, I didn't say I don't know if we'll ever get there.
Have many successful Starship flights this year.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. What I said was we need this stuff to start working now. Now.
I think it will.
All right. From your words, your lips to Elon's ears.
Yeah.
Now that's not a good one. From your lips to God's ears. Let's just stick with the original on that. That was implying that Elon's godlike. I don't fan, but not that kind of a fan.
Yeah.
All right. Peace and love. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in 1 month. Second Wednesday of every month, we do the SKTLs space call. And next time, we'll try to keep it more about space and less about AI. But actually, it was fun. I think people care.
It is, yeah, it is fun.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Thanks, American Badass, and thanks, Sanadzi. Good to see you guys.
See you guys later. Have a good one.